Get ready for the ETH on sale. Comments in the chat.
Hello, everyone. We're just waiting a couple seconds for us to go live. All right, looks like we're good. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're calling from. Thanks so much for joining our very first event of the year, Agentic Ethereum. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Today we have Austin Griffith from BuidlGuidl doing a workshop on building on-chain in the age of agency. If you have any questions, send them in the Zoom chat, and Austin will be more than happy to answer them live. But in the meantime, enjoy, and I will hand off the mic to Austin.
Great. Awesome. I'm just going to share my screen and start going. I'll try to watch the chat, but yeah, feel free to drop in questions. So let's share and get started. So I am Austin Griffith. I work for Ethereum at the Build Guild. The Build Guild is a DAO that's focusing on developer education and tooling and building cool stuff on chain. Our main curriculum after today, after you learn how to get started, definitely head over to what am I doing? Definitely head over to Speedrun Ethereum. Speedrun Ethereum is a great curriculum that will help you get started building on chain and build a bunch of things that will expose you to a bunch of concepts that will get you ready to ship. But today we're going to look at Scaffold-ETH, and we're going to look at it through the lens of this growing AI trend that is really changing a lot in the developer space, at least. So Scaffold-ETH is a tool that helps you build apps, but it has this debugging feature built in that will help you to test your assumptions and try things and sort of not know everything going into it, but have the ability to try things and learn how to test your assumptions. So let's just jump right into that. I've done this already. I've run this npx create ETH latest over here. And then we brought up our local blockchain with an ETH or Yarn chain. And then we brought up our local front end with Yarn start. All of these instructions are right there at scaffoldeth.io. If you get into the docs and follow along, or get into the repo and follow the repo, it's all right down here. I kind of did this npx create ETH, then I did a Yarn chain, then I did a Yarn deploy and a Yarn start. And all of these things will get you ready to go. Let's just do that Yarn deploy right there. That's going to deploy our example contract, and then we can go dink around with it. And that's kind of the heart or the starting piece of Scaffold-ETH is you have your contract here, and let me zoom in just a little bit. And then you have this interface where you can try things right over here. Okay, let's get into it and try a few things. So in particular, there's this debug contract. So this is kind of the starter kit for making an actual app. And this is really cool because you can tinker around and kind of just be learning and feeling things out. And then once you get it figured out, you're very close to just like shipping an app to production if you want. You can kind of push this to Vercel and push your contract to a live chain, and voila, you've got a live app. So let's look at the heart of it. The heart of it is being able to talk to your smart contract and try some things, tinker around, right? This is also a familiar loop you might find in Remix. So Scaffold-ETH and Remix are very similar in that they can help you tinker with Solidity and get a footing, but also like deploy contracts while you're at it. And in this case, also deploy a front end. So the thing that I really want to get, and we had a session, I think Thursday or Friday, and the thing that I really push there is tinkering. And I want to show this one more time real quick. So if you don't know Solidity yet very well, if you're a coder, you'll pick up the syntax pretty easily. And you can go to Solidity by example and just go through these concepts, pick a concept and go learn it. And what you can do with tinkering is just kind of grab, let's say we're going to learn mappings, and we're going to figure out what this mapping is and look what this get and this set is, right? We can just copy these right into our contract, okay? And just hit paste. and hit save and hit deploy and then go tinker with it, right? So what we added there was some new mapping that should show up. Yeah, right here. Here's my map, right? And it takes in an address. So I can pass in an address and read the value. And maybe we want to do something like set the my map for some address right here. Let's just set it in the constructor. It'd be my map, not message.sender, let's say owner, just to show that this works, and set that to 42 and deploy it, right? So you have the ability to really tinker with stuff. This is all on localhost. This is just you messing around, trying things out. But now what happens if I like grab, oh, whoops, it's going to be the owner's address. Hopefully this is 42. Whoops, I went to the block explorer. Really nice block explorer built into Scaffold-ETH. Did you see that? But there we go. We're able to, set the mapping for this guy. The key piece that I'm trying to show you here is that you can learn Solidity very quickly by going to Solidity by example or grabbing the docs, bringing something, some new concept in that you find into your contract, and then kind of just tinkering around with it. Whether you're using Remix or Scaffold-ETH, you make a change to your contract, and then you see it in the front end, and you can dink around with it and make sure it does what it needs to do. For instance, in the session that we had last week, we did this thing where we had an owner of the thing, and then we just made sure that only the owner could call a certain function. And we did that by calling the function here and then creating an incognito window, which actually creates a different burner wallet. This is kind of this account here. We're using burner wallets, which are really nice for local dev. And every time you create a new incognito window, you're actually getting a completely new wallet, which is really nice because then you can have all these characters that you can kind of attack your contract with. Okay, but we did that already. Let's say that you got the syntax down. You may not even need to have the syntax down, which I think is the cool thing that we want to like lead into here when we're talking about this age of agency. You need to kind of be able to think algorithmically a little bit about what you're trying to build, but you can prompt Cursor and it will do a pretty good job of writing your smart contracts for you, which is kind of scary and kind of cool all at the same time. But this creates a new agency for humans also. You at home can now think more at a little bit higher level. Instead of thinking of exactly what this Solidity needs to look like, I need to start thinking of what I want my protocol to do, right? And so if we kind of like follow that, let's pull that thread a little bit and go through it as we dink around here with Scaffold-ETH. But I'm going to be thinking less and less about the syntax of Solidity and more about what I want this thing to do, and prompting chat or prompting Cursor, who will probably prompt Claude to help me with that code. And I still need to know, the ins and outs. There's some small details about Solidity that you have to be careful with. For instance, sending Ether. If you were to just prompt Cursor to send some Ether, they're probably going to not use quite the right function. They'll probably use transfer. And that's good, that's okay. But what happens is this transfer function happens to be limited to 2,300 gas. And so if you happen to be transferring to a smart contract that has a fallback function that's going to burn some extra gas to do some extra things, this transfer might fail. So the sort of way to make sure you don't have that problem is you use call and you send your value using call. And so sometimes GPT or Claude does this wrong. And this is an example of maybe 4 or 5 little things that you need to watch out for, but this is one of them. And you just need to be like, yo, not like that, like this. And maybe we'll do a little bit of that here too. But let's dig in and look at how we might go about building a protocol, thinking through what we want to do. So let's get rid of this map. We don't need this mapping anymore. And really, I could clean out a bunch of stuff in here. There's a lot of examples here, just like fallback functions and, owned withdraw functions. And it's a greeter that you set the greeting and you see if you send in some money, it's payable, and you send in some money, it flips a bit. Just kind of like a lot of really good examples. But let's just kind of think through what we want to show, what we want to do here. So let's say it's the age of agency, and I have an old laptop laying around with the GPU on it. I want to use that laptop as an agent, maybe even like an oracle to a system. And so what I want to do is think about what part of this system I want to build will live on chain. And what does its on-chain presence look like? You really need to think about what has to happen on chain and what happens off chain. And that's when you really start figuring out your protocol and what it looks like. And then you start kind of building it out. So what I'm thinking is I want to make like a GPT like app. I want to make an AI powered app that's on chain, right? So I want to deploy a contract maybe to like Base or Optimism, and I want people to be able to buy in on some question. And once that question reaches some critical mass, there's a bunch of oracles that can come in and like answer that question, right? So it's probably going to be like a struct of a string and maybe some votes on it. And then maybe there's going to be some struct that is like the answer. And this starts to get like, it starts to bubble out of control a little bit when I start thinking of it in my head. So I almost need to draw it out. And sometimes I might just draw out some boxes, right? Like get a Miro board going. But what is the simplest possible way I can think of doing this is what if we have like a bonding curve for the question and people can buy into that curve and things go up and down. So really what I want to do is we're going to prompt Cursor and see how Cursor does here. And it's kind of weird to be prompting on a live thing, but this is the method of building a lot of stuff right now. And if you're not using this at some point, you're probably like leaving some stuff on the table. There's a lot here to learn, and this is really powerful, and it will 3 to 10x your output if you're you know, an average developer. Let's try it. So what I think I want to do is I want to track questions as like strings, okay? So we want users to be able to buy in on a string. So maybe we have a struct with a string and a price, and as they buy, it goes up, and as they sell, it goes down, and there is always liquidity, something like that, a bonding curve, right? It's a bonding curve, but one at a time, no calculus, please. Right? Probably did not spell calculus, right? But that's it, right? This is how we get started. We're going to throw something in here and be like, what are we going to do? Look at that. Oh, there was a struct, right? Okay, so we've got a struct with a string. Let's dive in and see what this thing builds for us, and we'll play with it, right? We'll deploy the contract locally and we'll see just how this thing works. But what I'd like to have eventually is for someone to be able to come in here and and say some question like, what is the price of oil at this certain time? And have maybe like a timestamp, and people can, in some period, oracles can be answering that, and somehow it rewards the right oracles. Like, I haven't really thought this out too far. I'm still tinkering around and trying to find exactly what I'm trying to build, and this is perfect for that. So let's see. Oh, did it die? I think it canceled. I don't know if I've had that. Let's try it again. There we go. There we go. I'm just going to accept this and we'll go see how it looks. So yeah, it looks like it's going to keep track of this. There's some content, there's some current price. I don't think we want to have an owner. Let's pull that out. No, please. Okay. Bool exists. I don't even know what that is for, but we'll figure it out as we figure it out. So there's some initial price. We see how it increments and decrements. We probably could just have that as the same, but whatever. Let's just leave it how it is. Oh no, no. I kind of have to have internet. I don't know. This is yeah, this is you're on your own when your AI dies on you. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna have some withdraw balance. Let's just see what happens when we try to deploy this. We're going to get some errors. We're going to need to clean them up, but we're kind of like dinking around here. And let's see. Previous owner here. Oh, this is unused local variable. That's fine. Oh, okay. What we have here is when we're doing our deployment, there's some extra stuff happening here that we don't want to happen anymore. And also it looks like we're passing something into the constructor. Let's check and see if the constructor takes in a value. Yeah, it still does. Okay, so we still have this owner. This should maybe deploy. Let's go see. Okay, so our contract is out there on localhost and we can dink around with it, right? We have our initial price. Notice ETH to Way. You should have learned the concept of ETH versus Way. We have our price increments. We have an owner, which isn't really important. But let's see, what can we do? There's a buy. Okay, so there's a buy string. Okay, there we go. So you pass in whatever string you want to buy. Okay, so we need to come up with a string. So what is the price of oil? And eventually, I think what we want to do is have like a timestamp where this is in the future, right? So we're building some other platform that is somehow building a market around what people think the price of oil is going to be. And then we want a whole bunch of oracles to say what they think the price of oil is at some certain time. And so we're like the market may say like what will be the price of oil tomorrow or something like that, right? So what is the price of oil? And this probably needs, like I said, like some kind of timestamp in the future. Like what is the price of oil? And we'll say like tomorrow at noon or something like that, right? And we would basically get that from this. So it's not there. We need to find a right. So we need to buy. Okay, so we're gonna buy. What is the price of oil? And I believe that will go here. And then there's probably some initial price that we're going to pay. Okay. And oh, we're going to need some money from the faucet. We got to load our burner wallet up. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work. We'll see. We're exploring. We're trying things. We're seeing what's new. What is the price of? Okay. We were able to buy one of what is the price of oil. Is that working? Let's see. How do we even go about? Oh, the price should go up now, right? So now if we ask for what is, oh, there it is. Okay, so now we can get the string token. We can say, what is the price of oil? Check out the new price. Now, if I try to buy another, what is the price of oil? This should fail. Yes. Oh, you already own this string. Okay, we definitely don't want that. Okay, so we're going to look into the buy string now. So it checks to see if that struct exists, and then it looks at the price. Okay, we don't want an owner, right? And we don't want to check to see. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna have to prompt the GPT. It's basically created a single owner for the string, and we don't want that. We kind of want to say want a single owner. To be able to buy in and own a piece of the string. Something like that. Let's see if it figures that out. Yeah, so no more owner in there, and then a new mapping that tells what kinds of things you as an owner own. Just like a ton of code getting written here, going quickly. Obviously, you don't just like apply this code and ship it straight to production. Oh, this is crazy. Let's see. There we go. But this should, okay, so now we check to see, okay, how many shares you're buying. Okay, cool. Nope. All right. All right. I also want it to only buy one share at a time to make it simple. Make it simple. Only buy one share at a time. Okay. This is close. So it'll buy a single share every time. It'll always only buy one. Your shares will go up probably. There's a nice refund. This is really nice. So if we buy extra, it looks like we'll get a refund, which is really good because if lots of people are buying against the if a lot of people are buying against the curve at any moment, the price will shift up and a lot of people will get failed transactions. And this thing has kind of figured that out. So our front end will probably send some extra money along with this to make sure, there we go, to make sure they don't get those failed transactions. Okay, and let's see if we can deploy this thing, see how it's looking now. Now, of course, there's so much more to do here. once you get your smart contract working. And let's just make sure we can like buy and sell shares. There's so much more to do, but we only have like, I think 10 more minutes. So I want to move on and show front end stuff once you get your contract where you like it. Let's see. I haven't really been watching questions. Sorry, y'all. Oh, I see a lot of note takers popping off. Okay, let's see. Can we buy and sell shares? That's what we should be looking at. So we have some question, what let's see. Who are the members of the Doge, right? That's a hot topic right now. And maybe it wouldn't be that big of a question, but let's buy into it. Let's say we want to know the answer of it, and we'll buy the first share of it. Probably the way you would work this is you would have someone land on your website and get to type in whatever question they want, and they would like deploy and buy the first share all in one go. But let's make sure we can buy that. And then if we come up here, we should see that the price goes up. And if we try to buy another one, it should fail. Oh no, it let us buy another one at the same price, right? Uh-oh. So we got to go back over here and tell this dude it's not quite working. Let's see. The price should go up and you should pay a higher amount for each share you buy. And as you sell, the price should go down. Right now, I can buy 2 in a row for the initial price, and that is wrong. Something like that, right? And you're prompting, you're hopefully we're gonna call it good at this moment, whether AI figures it out or not. You will need to spend a lot more time here making sure this is good before you push this out to a live chain. There we go. Now we see the price incrementing. That's nice. Okay, save that, go ahead and deploy that. And if we get any error messages, I'll probably just copy paste them right over to AI to fix. And here we go. So let's try, let's see, what is oil price? Oops. Okay, and that's going to be our string. And we want to know what that is. So we're going to buy into that at the initial value of this price. Okay. And that's in way, of course. You could count the zeros and figure this out, but it's probably something like that. And if I do that again, oh no, it's still totally letting me buy that. It doesn't seem like the price is going up. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't seem like our contract is working. The AI, it seems like the current price, let's see what we charge here. Look, it's doing a transfer too. Exactly what I was talking about. This is a no-no. See that? You have to get in there and fix that. But we're not going to do that today. We only have 30 minutes. Building a protocol in 30 minutes doesn't make any sense, but let's pretend like this is all working. And what you want now is for people to go to a website, type in their question, and buy and sell. Okay? So it's not working. That's a bad cursor, bad Claude. That's a bad Claude. Let's go to the front end though. Let's start working on our app. Okay? And that will be over in the Next.js section. And your app will be this page right here, right? And so let's go to home, this page right here, right? So what we want, you got to build out a little AI, or you have to build out a little UI, but the AI can help a lot. So let's clean out the current UI. Let's have a text box where they can ask a question. Let's have a buy and sell button that lets them buy and sell that question against our contract. Okay, and let's do a couple other things. I'm going to send the docs. I'm going to go say, hey, here is how you read from a contract. So I'm going to go to Scaffold-ETH docs. Here's how you read from a contract, right? Something like this. Here is how you read from the contract. Okay, boom. Here is how you write to the contract. Okay, and I'm going to bring that stuff in. A lot of times you could put this like in your cursor rule. There's probably some AI folks out there that are like, Austin, you're doing it wrong, bro. That's so last week. But here we go. I'm kind of pasting in some stuff. Okay, and I don't want it to just have my page. I want it to also have my contract in the context. Okay. I like my instructions here are terrible. It's going to do something really weird. You have to be way more explicit and think through the other things. I definitely haven't done that here. You can do that at home, but let's send it. Ooh, I didn't mean to hit Command Enter there. It's going to be a costlier call, but let's see what it does. Let's see if it makes us some buttons and some text entry. Look at that. It's reading from the contract. It's handling buys. It's handling sells. I don't necessarily have to know a ton of React here to get this to work. I don't necessarily have to know a ton of Solidity to get this to work, but like, yeah, it's gonna make a mess if I don't. Like if I get too far into this like prompt blindly loop, it's not going to end well for me at the current stage of AI. But that is changing quickly. Okay, let's see. What do we got? What do we got? Let's apply this and let's see what we have here over on the front end. Okay, I mean that was kind of what I had in my head, to be honest. Like, what is the price of oil? And it almost needs to take that question and like look it up and then see if it's a struct that we can buy or not. And if we like it, we could hit buy. Wow, it actually actually bought the thing from the thing. And can I sell it? And actually sold it back. How does our money work here? Let's pay attention. So we have 2,668. We're going to buy one, buy two, buy three. This should go down, right? Okay, our money goes down, and then let's sell those shares. Our money goes up. Okay, so it's sort of working, but not great. Let's do one thing where as they type, it reads from the contract to see if there is an existing. Okay, here we go. As we type, it reads from the contract to see if there is an existing struct for that question and tells us the price. Something like that, right? We're getting really close to having these buttons wired up so we know exactly the price and someone can type something in and get the price. Let's see what it does. Oh, you know what? It probably needed, wait, let's give it more context. It probably needs our contract in there. I feel like it's going to do something blindly. Let's make sure we have our contract in there. Okay, so now what's going to happen is as we type in here, hopefully it will go and read from the contract. Yep. So there's an is scaffold and it's getting the string token for the given question. Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, reload. So what is the price of OIL? There's nothing there yet. Let's buy. Now it shouldn't be a new question, right? Now if I like just like reload this whole thing and paste this in, it's still it's still showing up as a new question. Okay, so some things are broken. Spend more than than 30 minutes creating your protocol, your AI protocol. Okay, so then the last thing I would need to do is ship this thing to production. And the way I would do that, if you follow the docs in Scaffold-ETH, you're going to yarn generate and you'll create a deployer account. You're going to yarn deploy, and that will deploy your contract to whatever network you want. Say we're going to base. And then you need to yarn, that's putting the contract out there. You need to yarn Vercel and push your app live to Vercel. And then anyone can get on and use it. And that's basically the loop of Scaffold-ETH and how you can use Cursor and AI. In this case, I would want to write one more script. I would want to create a new script that allows an oracle to check in with the smart contract and figure out what the open questions are on the smart contract. So basically have an oracle that's reading the chain, looking to see at some value for some question. And then once it reaches some value, they get in and answer the question or something like that. So I would have my front end, my back end, and also my oracle code. And I would launch all of those together as this AI platform protocol a lot of work needs to go into how this is actually going to happen. I've kind of filled in a lot of the details and glazed over them, but that's up to you, the builder. The hardest part is not the solidity, it's not the tooling, it's none of that. The hardest part is coming up with a great idea that people will actually use and implementing it. And that's up to you at this hackathon. Go get them, go do it, go ship something amazing. Thank you, ETH Global, for putting on this awesome, awesome hackathon over and over again. We'll be back. Keep shipping, keep going. Thank you so much, ETH Global. I think that's the end of my time, though. Hearts, hearts, hearts.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to send it in the Zoom chat or say it live on call.
One thing I would do here if I was doing this again is I would sit with ChatGPT and talk through some of the stuff I want to happen. At a high level, how would you structure your Oracle? I would have it so it's on all the time and it's reading from the smart contract and it's looking for questions. So it's like getting a list of possible questions and what their value is and waiting until that gets to a certain threshold. And it's just in a loop doing that. And then once it finds one at a certain threshold at a certain time, it takes that question and basically goes and asks it. Maybe a question comes along with like some context. Maybe for every question, what is the price of oil? There's also a URL. And so it would go hit that URL, get the information back, say, I'm trying to, I am a smart oracle. I would abuse the prompt a little bit. I'm a smart oracle and I'm looking for information. Here's all the context. And then I'd ask the question at the bottom, what is the price of oil? You need to answer it in a very succinct way and then have that provide the answer to the smart contract. So it's kind of just like in a game loop, waiting for something to be more valuable. And when it is, or some time period to be right, then it goes and answers that. Obviously, there's some probably like economic game theory stuff that I'm totally glazing over and missing here, and I would deploy this and it would not work. You need to figure that out. You need to figure out the game theory. You need to think about the incentives. You need to think about the mechanisms. That's up to you. But the AI is going to help you write the code, and it's going to even help you reason about how your system will work.
Hey, Austin,
Yeah.
really quick. Can you hear me?
I got you.
What was the first site that you mentioned? I'm a software background, but
Maybe
I've
speedrun
never really,
Ethereum.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Are there any other learning resources you can recommend
Yes.
as part of this?
And Cyphren. I would say speedrun Ethereum and Cyphren, and just go to ethereum.org. So like start on ethereum.org, get as much information as you can from there. Maybe look at the Solidity docs or Solidity by example, but then challenge yourself to build a bunch of things. Speedrun Ethereum is kind of like the gateway drug to building a bunch of things because it has you build like a token and staking app and a bunch of things that sort of teach you about the mechanisms of Ethereum and the kinds of things you would deploy to Ethereum. So I just posted it into that chat of Speedrun Ethereum, but also check out Cyphren. There's tons of Web3 education out there. Saying it
Gotcha.
again, like the bottleneck is not that Solidity is hard or we don't have the right tools. The bottleneck to me in my mind for a while was like regulation, but I don't think even that is a problem now. I think straight up the light is green. What the heck would you deploy if you could deploy anything? Let's go back to the days of thinking of like TCRs and fun things like that, and let's get stuff on chain and get people using it. So the hardest thing for you is like, what do people actually want to use on chain, and what do we use this nation state hard level blockchain app store for?
Gotcha. And then can I follow up on that?
Yes.
So I looked into USDC. They have like a similar smart contract thing. I don't fully understand smart contracts. Can you kind of go into that just like really like one sentence type of thing? But like there's all these different, I guess, chains and they all have different like their own smart contract. Yeah, can you kind of help me understand that idea more? Just like high level.
Yeah. Yeah. So on speedrunethereum.com, there's a token vendor and you create a token and you sell it and the contracts have to talk to each other. So that will be like a good deep dive. But you're right. Multiple chains have multiple instantiations of USDC and you have to bridge between the two. The smart contract itself is just keeping track of balances and giving people some transfer functions. If you wanted to build a simple token, it would look like what is everybody's balance, and you keep track of that in what's called a mapping. So you have a mapping from any given address to some amount. And say you start 10 people with $100. So in the constructor, you set everybody up with $100, and then you have a transfer function. And that transfer function is like the clutch thing that everybody is going to use. And inside that transfer function, it says move tokens from person A to person B. If person A doesn't have enough tokens, you fail, right? Make sure that the tokens move to person B. And there's some weird stuff with how you use tokens in smart contracts, and that you'll learn at the speed run. But just, yeah, there's multiple chains, and on multiple chains, there's multiple instantiations, which are just these smart contracts that keep track of balances and give you a transfer function. Hopefully that explains it, but keep going. Like you don't know what you don't know. There's a blind man and the elephant thing kind of happening here. You're asking the right questions. Keep asking, keep digging, keep learning. Go to ethereum.org and speedrun Ethereum. Go specifically take on the token vendor challenge in speedrun Ethereum, and it'll really show off what this token is and why there's multiple smart contracts on multiple networks. Thank you all. Thanks for being here. Hearts, hearts, hearts.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Austin, for doing yet again another wonderful workshop. Yeah, someone just mentioned the chat saying your energy is just great. 100% agree.
Even when we're down bad, we gotta bring the energy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So this workshop is recorded, and you can find it actually on our YouTube page anytime throughout the rest of this event or in the future. It's not going to go anywhere. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Austin, for hosting this workshop. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and good luck with all of your hacks.